You know, I've mentioned this before, okay? I'm going to go ahead and mention it again because there's a lot of people up on YouTube. There's a lot of people that don't see, I don't think they see the big picture as well as what I do. I mean, there's a lot I don't know yet, so don't take that wrong when I say that, okay? Because there's a whole lot I don't know yet, because that's just the way it is. None of us know it all, okay? But when it comes to Alex Jones, the red flags that I found, because I used to follow Alex Jones regularly, you're right. He has posted a lot of really good information. He has backed up a lot of what he has said. And that is correct. Okay? What's the best way to send people down the rabbit hole or down the wrong path? The best way to send people down the wrong path would be if you get recognized for somebody that tells the truth and backs up what you're saying, and you get a lot of following. And then with that truth, you throw in lies. Now, I'm going to tell you what woke me up to Alex Jones, okay? And so I have doubts with Alex Jones. I'm almost sure that Alex Jones collects CIA money. For one, his films are all Hollywood grade profession. Okay? His documentaries are Hollywood grade material. He claims he gets that money off of his advertisement from the net. I highly doubt that. Okay? I really do. Take a whole lot of money. But the big red flags, the real biggest ones is if you go to Alex Jones and you look up the Bohemian Grove, where he snuck into the Bohemian Grove, and just use your head. Use common sense. And watch the entire Bohemian Grove video that Alex Jones posted with him sneaking into the Bohemian Grove. Okay, if you watch that and you use your head, anybody that's owned cam, anybody that's owned any kind of secret cameras you can hide in your clothing, for one, you wouldn't have the zoom in ability if it was a hidden cam. Because how are you going to zoom it in? Point it somewhere and zoom it in without actually physically having it in your hand. Maybe there's a secret remote he held that zooms it in, right? Two, after dark. Who's all done any kind of recording after dark? That's right. Without the proper lighting, your footage after dark won't be seeable. Won't be seeable, okay? And then listen to his words. Really close. Listen to what he says. Even when he was supposedly almost caught by security, listen to his wording, and you will see through it. The Bohemian Grove was one of the major red flags that told me he had lied to the public. Next, we all know that the Pope's a bad person. We all know that the Pope preached the New World Order. Alex Jones had actually posted an article when Alex Jones was talking the Pope up. Okay? That's another red flag. The other red flag, this is one of my really biggest ones, is Alex Jones is the expert on history and governments. Isn't that correct? Didn't he show you history and what governments have done and show you all that? Yeah, he has. But he didn't tell you about the last time that we had a Great Depression and the United States government made a mandatory recall on old gold and silver to its people and told the people they had to turn it in to the government because they needed it. They were broke. And if you got caught using your gold or silver, you was locked up. Okay? Put in jail. You had to turn it in. You wasn't allowed to barter or trade with it. Yes, that happened here in the United States. Yes, Alex Jones is aware of that. You can't expect me to believe that this Alex Jones, knowing everything he knows, would not know that. What's the one thing Alex Jones has always done? He promoted gold and silver. Promoted buying gold and silver. That's the only currency that's going to hold up. So I want to ask you a question. If they repeat history, which was what they're doing, right? And they crash the dollar, which we know eventually they will. And the government tells you we're broke and recalls the gold and silver because they're replaying history. What do you think is going to happen to your gold and silver? Is it going to do you any good then? No. Now, I have a reason for saying what I'm saying. I want you to think about something. The powers to be want them at the top and the rest broke. the rest under control. They don't want a middle class whatsoever. They want to do away with the middle class completely. They want the peasantly broke, us, and them. End of story. This is known fact. What's the best way to bring down the middle class? I'll tell you the best way to bring down the middle class. Scare the hell out of them. That's no lie. Scare the living hell out of them. How the currency's going to crash. How many of us people could afford to buy gold and silver to stock up on in case the dollar crashes? Not many of us. But the middle class could now, couldn't they? So if you keep promoting gold and silver and you get the middle class to buy up the gold and silver, then you crash the dollar, the middle class says, well, we got all of our gold and silver yet. Yes. And then you repeat history. And you make it mandatory to turn it into them. The other thing that you should be thinking about is all the spots that you've seen across the United States. We buy gold and silver here. We buy gold and silver here. You need to remember that. Do you know what they're doing with that gold and silver? Shipping it to the government, who in return is melting it back down and shipping it overseas. As they strip the wealth from this country. So to bring the middle class down won't be too hard. All you got to do is repeat history. Most of the people that are going to be able to afford to buy any kind of gold or silver are going to be middle class. So just when they thought they still had saved their wealth with the gold and silver, they'll repeat history and make them turn it in. And then they'll be just as broke as you and me. Bye-bye, middle class. Last but not least, red flag that you need to open your eyes to is, who owns all of the mainstream media? Seriously. Who owns and controls all forms of mainstream media? Including YouTube, which is Google. Who's Google do work for? The powers to be. Who owns all of the media? The powers to be. Now, you honestly think if you was putting a big hurting on the powers to be and you were threatening their plans, that they would allow you on mainstream media? Honestly, use your head. Do you think they would allow you on mainstream media? If you could actually put a hurting on their plans through mainstream media? No, not whatsoever. But they're far enough along now, they don't care if you know. They've been putting it in your face, haven't they? That's right. So how do you suppose Alex Jones got on mainstream media? Because he's allowed to be. Why would he be allowed to be if he's such a threat to him? You might want to think about that. Them are all red flags. I'm not taking anything away from the truth he has spread and all the factable evidence he's put in your face, but I'm telling you right now, the best way to steer the people down the rabbit hole in massive numbers is to get massive numbers behind you. The best way to get the massive numbers behind you is to put all kinds of factual truth in their face. Then you throw in a lie here and a lie there. You don't catch on to it, and they steer you right down the rabbit hole, don't they? Plus, they can keep track of who his followers are, so they know who's going to be speaking up against him, don't they? Just some little tips that you might want to think about. So no, I don't trust Alex Jones. I would be willing to bet that he collects CIA pay. Now, I could be wrong. Don't take me wrong. I could very well be wrong. Okay? But I want you to think about what I've said here. Okay? Because there's so many of you that still just don't see it. And you really need to have your eyes open to it. And so for all you people out there say that you haven't seen no hardcore evidence suggesting that Alex Jones is, you're probably not going to see actual hardcore evidence. You're going to have to look yourself. And you're going to have to use this. You need to think about who owns all the mainstream media. You need to think about if he was really a threat. Really, honestly, a threat. See, William Cooper got killed because he was a threat. Start opening your eyes and you'll find anybody that's ever become a threat to him suddenly was found dead. Okay? Alex Jones, if he was the biggest threat that they're saying he is, you got to really think about that. Who owns all the mainstream media? Who owns it all? Why would they allow him to get up there on mainstream media if that was a threat to them? See, it makes no sense. Okay, it has no common sense in it. Not whatsoever, not when it's so controlled. Okay, so it's just common sense in your face. And when it comes to the gold and silver, it's as I've said, open your eyes. Go watch the Bohemian Grove and use this Idaho Picker would have told you. Logic. Okay, use logic. Listen to the words. Watch and pay attention. The Bohemian Grove should give you a big red flag. And if you pay attention to the rest of the stuff I've told, just like when I called into his show. Because I called into a live show and he had a guest on who was talking about gold and silver. And I got onto his live show. And I addressed the question to him that I just brought up to you. He dodged me. He went around it. Shipped me straight to his guest, who furtherly dodged what I said and went around it. Cut me short and hung up. No lie. Fact. Happened. Ask him yourself about what I just said and see if he don't dodge you and run. As I've said, use your head. Pay attention. I would be willing to bet that he does collect CIA pay and that he is a plant. I'm not taking away the good stuff that he has done. But as I've said before, the best way to get masses to go the wrong direction that are waking up is to give them somebody to follow. Make sure that somebody they're following spills a whole lot of truth and backs it up so that you hook them really good. And then you throw in a lie here and you throw in a lie there. What'll happen? You'll lead them right down the rabbit hole. That's what'll happen. Plus, it gives the government the powers to be at the top a chance to find out how many are following him, a chance to observe. Just be careful, okay? That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what to think, but I'm going to tell you right now, you said that no factual proof has been given to you. It's there. It's there, but you have to go look. It's not going to be handed to you. And think about everything I've said. Really, because I used to follow him myself. And I still do watch him off and on. He does say a lot of truth. There's no lie. That's not no lie. He does say a lot of truth. But you really got to use this. No lie.